This morning on the new show, we're going to be talking about Frankie de Jong, and already we're seeing reports linking Manchester United to him for the summer, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Erik ten Hag as well, and some reports coming out today suggesting that he is going to get another year after this season to prove his worth to the new Ineos group. And also we're going to talk a little bit about Diogo Dalot, with reports coming out today that his value has potentially doubled since he joined Manchester United. Let's get right into it. So we're going to start with Frankie de Jong, and look, this potential saga has been running on for the bones of nearly 2 years now, with Manchester United being linked with him basically in every transfer window. And the reports continue today, and they're coming out of Spain this time in relation to United being linked with him. Reports are suggesting that Frankie de Jong is not ruling out leaving Barcelona this summer. Manchester United are very interested in him. Now, the report is coming out from a reliable enough Spanish journalist in relation to this, and basically the reason behind it is due to the delay in the wage payment this season, and he is one who receives one of the most amounts of money at Barcelona, 24.8 million, and he's at the top of the salary scale with Barcelona, and there is supposedly been a delay in the payment of his wages. Now, what's new when it comes to Barcelona? Obviously, we know what happened. What was it, 18 months ago now, with Frankie de Jong when Erik ten Hag first signed. You know, there was an agreement there that he wasn't going to get his wages, and he wasn't, and it was all up in the air. And Barcelona basically were refusing to pay him and wanted him to leave. Since then, he's made himself an integral part of the Barcelona team. Now, we do know, and this is a big, I suppose, question mark, who the new manager is going to be at Barcelona in the summer, because we know Xavi is going to be leaving. Now, Xavi does, I suppose, rate Frankie de Jong, and he did say from the onset when these reports were coming out that he could potentially leave, Xavi said he wanted to keep him as part. He was an integral part of the squad, but again, obviously, he wasn't in charge of transfers, and if he did go, then he went. So, I mean, it all depends on who the new manager coming in is. Does he want Frankie de Jong? I mean, I would be very surprised if he didn't. Again, Barcelona find themselves in this kind of, I don't know, is it FFP or they're just in debt, whatever it may be. They're just a very badly run club at the moment. And Frankie de Jong obviously is one of the highest earners there. You've got players like Gundogan who's gone there, Lewandowski there as well. All of these are big, big earners. And are Barcelona going to be able to continue to pay these types of players? Look, one thing is for certain here. Manchester United are going to be hugely interested in Frankie de Jong if he's available in the summer, especially if Erik ten Hag is the manager. Now, there is a question mark here. Do we need Frankie de Jong as much as we did this time last year? We've got Kobbie Mainoo now. Now, Kobbie Mainoo probably has a little bit of a way to go to be at the levels of Frankie de Jong, but my God, he can get there. Are they similar types of players? Maybe. I still think if Frankie de Jong is available in the summer, Manchester United go for him, and especially if Erik ten Hag is the manager and we make it work. Again, Frankie de Jong coming into our midfield, if it's, for example, if we're starting, our first game of the season next year with Frankie de Jong, Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes, doesn't give you an awful lot of physicality in the midfield. So it remains to be seen whether United will be as heavily interested in Frankie de Jong in the summer now that Kobbie Mainoo has, come to the fore in relation to that midfield. But I still do think that if he's available at a decent price, I think Manchester United go for him. But it looks like this saga is going to rumble on again in the lead up to the summer and the summer transfer window. I'm all for it. Frankie de Jong is an unbelievable footballer, and I would love to have him at Manchester United. But again, I think it's probably going to be down to the player. But he does seem to be a little bit more open now to a move than he was in the past. So maybe that's a glimmer of hope for Manchester United. But look, it remains to be seen. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's talk about Erik ten Hag. Reports coming out today from the people from Steve Bates are suggesting that senior sources at Manchester United say that Erik ten Hag may be given another season to press on with his vision of the new United. Ten Hag's willingness to embrace youth talent from the academy plays a lot to his favour at the club. So, positive stories coming out about Erik ten Hag in the past few days, which is good. I love to hear it because I'm an Erik ten Hag fan and I want him to be the Manchester United manager, and I think given the time he will be successful. However, I think it is also down to, I suppose, results on the pitch. We've seen before Christmas that results weren't good. Players were out injured. Everybody was down. There was a negativity around the club. Since Christmas, since the turn of the new year, we're unbeaten in 2024. Players are coming back fully fit. There's a bit of positivity around the club with the takeover, so on and so forth. So my point being here is that it can change very quickly. The vision of the club and maybe the fan reaction and the whole maybe aura around the press and the pressure coming on. But at the moment, there's positivity around, and Erik ten Hag is maybe gaining off of some of that positivity with the reports that are coming out. Look, I've said it in the past, Erik ten Hag, I think, should be given minimum till the end of next season, because I think under the new structure that he hasn't had before, taking some of the pressure off him in relation to transfers. Now, I think he is going to still want input in transfers, and I think he should be given some input in it, but I think it should be more of a collective decision now. If you're bringing in a football director, sporting director, Dave Brailsford, Omar Barada, whoever it may be, alongside Erik ten Hag identifying players, then I think it's the best way that we can succeed in terms of bringing in young talent, good players, so on and so forth. So I want to see Erik ten Hag remain until, if we go through another maybe 3 or 4 month spell at the start of next season, like we did this year, when he's got the backing of Ineos and maybe he gets a really good summer transfer window under his belt, then question marks can start being asked about Erik ten Hag. But for the moment, he's been really, really working with one arm tied behind his back with all of the injuries, with the lack of real structure above him and support with, John Murta and these kind of guys. It was never going to work properly. And I think Erik ten Hag is doing really well considering. So I'm all for him remaining as manager next season. But he does have to prove himself. He really, really does. And like I said, performances on the pitch will give you a bit of breathing space. And I think between now and the end of the season, if he can rack up some good results and make a real go at getting into the Champions League spots and hopefully a good run in the FA Cup, then I think he'll go a long way to actually, trying to really, really maintain his hold on that manager spot. Now, finally, let's talk about Diogo Dalot. And a report coming out today in relation to the player, and not just him, there are a couple of other players. We're going to focus on him more than anybody else. And it's in relation to a player that's actually increased his value since he's come to Manchester United. There's not been an awful lot of them since the end of the Ferguson era. But according to this report, Diogo Dalot is one of them. One player who has doubled his value since arriving is Diogo Dalot. The Portuguese was one deal in which the club completed early on during the player's development and are thus reaping the benefits. Jose Mourinho brought the Portuguese to Old Trafford for 19 million and as per Gimme Sport, his value has doubled to 38 million. Now, a couple of different points to pick out here. First and foremost is in relation to actually, are we keeping Diogo Dalot or not? And I think we probably will. I've said in the past that I still don't think he is going to be the right back. If we are to go on and win a Premier League in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, is he good enough, to be in that back four to bring us to a Premier League title? At the moment, I don't think so. Now, I do agree with this report suggesting that he has improved an awful lot since we bought him, all those years ago under Jose Mourinho. And if we were to move Diogo Dalot on, you would be making quite a significant, I suppose, profit on what you paid for him. Now, if you are going to reinvest that in getting a world-class right back, then all well and good. I think at left back, for example, we've got one in Luke Shaw. Now, we know with Luke Shaw, if he can stay fit and he can stay consistent, he's one of the best left backs in the world, in my opinion. On the right-hand side, Diogo Dalot, he's hit and miss at the moment. Now, I do think there is an awful lot of potential there, and he is still young, and there is room to improve. The other aspect of this report is, and I think this is something that's very important going forward, is that Diogo Dalot proves that getting players in young, with potential, and developing them into good players is the way to go. We've seen Dalot come in, like we said, for £19 million. And according to that report, his value has doubled. And I think it would easily double. I think you would easily get maybe 40 million for Diogo Dalot at the moment. He's been out on loan, so on and so forth. He's got good experience, and he's now getting an awful lot of game time under Erik ten Hag. And ten Hag does seem to trust him as that right back. I love his passion. I love his desire. Defensively, he's a little bit every now and again going, oh, okay, but I think going forward he offers you an awful lot as well. And we've seen him playing that inverted fullback kind of role where he's going into midfield to make up the numbers, and maybe overrun the midfield a little bit in comparison to the opposition. So he is able to play multiple roles, which is good. But I think the point of this interview or this report more than anything else is going forward for Manchester United, identifying young players, hungry players who have massive potential to improve is the way to go. We've talked before about other clubs and their business model, the Dortmunds of the world, or the Brightons of the world. We're getting these players in for cheap money at 18, 19 years of age, keeping them for 3, 4, 5 years, developing them into really, really good players and selling them on for massive profits. Now, Manchester United don't have to do that last part, selling them on for massive profits, but getting them in at 18, 19, 20 years of age under the radar for good money, and then, there's no ceiling there in terms of how good they could potentially be, I think is the way to go. Now, you do need to sprinkle in a couple of world-class players every now and again, like we mentioned with, say, Frankie de Jong, for example, experienced players. But I think there is a balance there that needs to be found. And Diogo Dalot is proof over the last few years. While we haven't been really good at doing that, there are one or two players that we've seen since the Ferguson era ended that have probably increase in value. Bruno Fernandes is a prime example for it. So I think that's a good opportunity for us going forward, and it's a good kind of example to take from Diogo Dalot. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys, in relation to these comments and these reports as well. We will be back tonight from 8 o'clock for our news show as always. Please do smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Have a great day, and I'll chat to you this evening. Take care.